Welcome to Strategy Battle Games, another GBHL YouTube video. You hear your host GBHL Damian, and this is my hobby vlog number 16. Yep, I've managed to make 2 in a row. This is big news for me, as this is the first time I've done a hobby vlog in 2 consecutive weeks in about 3.5 months, I believe. So yeah, quite a big achievement for me. And I believe I will be back next week as well, so all very exciting. So I've got a couple of things to show you this week. So first off, I'm going to jump straight in with this little lady, Galadriel, who you would have seen base coated last week. As I think I mentioned, she had been base coated and shaded, and I was painting her up for the riddles in the Woodhouse tournament, and I'm pleased to say I did get her done. So this is it's a very different kind of model for me. It's like you know, highly stylized, obviously. She's obviously meant to look at how she looks in the Hobbit, in the Battle of the Five Armies, when she goes all crazy and banishes Sauron. And so it's kind of trying to paint these kind of bright blues. I did enjoy painting it, and it's a gorgeous model. The face has so much detail. I'm not going to lie, painting her blue I quite enjoyed, because it meant that I didn't have to paint the skin tones. I always tend to struggle with female skin tones, making them look quite soft. So getting to paint it blue was a kind of big help there. I'm very pleased with the way that came out. So you should notice that the skin is ever so slightly greener than the robes. There's kind of a subtle change, but it does kind of differentiate itself, hopefully, from the robes. And then the robes here are kind of going from a very blacky dark blue up to near white. And then the hair's kind of, again, just to differentiate, I went from kind of dark grey to more focus. Come on. Yeah. Dark grey up to a kind of paler grey, but again with bluish tones. So yeah, this was, again, she was kind of bashed out over the course of one day, like highlighting essentially, as I've been doing a few of my heroes of late, just painting them, trying to paint them in one sitting, as it were. And it was kind of, there was no particular technique to it. I was just improvising as I went and just mixing up loads of different blues. So there's no, I couldn't tell you which colours I used at which point, but basically I used a mixture of Regal blue, Horeth blue, turquoise glaze, which is an ancient GW paint, and pallid witch flesh. And then for the green I was dropping in this one, Nurgling green. So those are my kind of 4 colours, and basically I was just mixing them up in various kind of combinations to get to the effect I want. So I was pretty pleased with how it came out. As I said, she doesn't really fit in with the army, but then that's the whole point, that she looks a bit odd. But I think she came out alright. I was pretty pleased with her. Obviously I was painting her up, as I said, for Riddles in the Woodhouse, because it was a good versus evil tournament, and this was my clever plan, because I figured at 800 points good versus evil I was bound to be placing either Saruman, so wizard, so Fortified Spirit would be helping, and a whole bunch of ring wraiths, so banish would be incredibly useful. And that was my thinking, and I've got to say my thinking really paid off, because in the 3 games I played as with my good army, with my elves, in the first game I played 2 ring wraiths on Felbeast, in the second game I played 1 ring wraith on Felbeast, and in the third game I played Sauron himself, all of which are spirits that can be banished. So I was laughing at how well I'd done. Unfortunately I managed to lose all 3 of those games despite having her and despite doing my best to banish them. So it didn't quite actually work out that well. So yeah, the theory worked, but alas, as I'm sure you'll hopefully hear about in a tournament review before too long, it didn't quite come off for me. But there we go, there is my Galadriel that I'm very happy with, and again, just cool to get have a decent excuse to get a classic Lord of the Rings miniature out of the to paint box and get her painted up. So she'll be getting into the cabinet now, I suppose. I also painted up 1 more Palace Guard. Nothing particularly exciting here, but this guy was painted the day after her. So he was just you've probably seen a while back, I had 2 Palace Guard left, one of which was my banner bearer and one of which was this guy. And I just painted him up because I needed an extra Palace Guard for the army, so nothing particularly exciting here. Painted up in exactly the same way, with exactly the same colours as all the other ones. I thought his eyes came out better on this guy. I think I'd learnt from my previous thing, I think some of them, where I've done this kind of black eye makeup and the eyes, some of the other Palace Guard looked a bit bug-eyed, but I was quite pleased with the way this one came out. But yeah, it was quite fun to do. Just a couple of hours work, kind of bashing him out, blending the cloak up as before. So he was pretty good. So that was just an extra fun model. I also want to show you something from the cabinet that I had a request for, which is from Billy, I believe, who said that he saw the Gollum model that was in the cabinet in last vlog, and could we have another look at it? So we can indeed, and here he is. Here is my Gollum. It's I suppose it's technically Smeagol, this one. It's one with the fish. Absolutely gorgeous model. It's one of those models that really makes you realise why people enjoy the Lord of the Rings range so much. And I painted this guy up a good few years ago now, and it was just done as a character model. I think I did him again when I was painting for the Journey books, and we needed Gollum to fight Frodo and Sam in that Two Towers scenario, and I painted this one up, and I was really pleased with how it came out. You can hopefully see in there. He's actually got, it's the only time I've ever done coloured eyes, because Gollum's got blue eyes, so he has a dot of blue in his eye, which was something I was kind of experimenting with, and I was pretty pleased with how it came out. Couldn't for the life of me tell you how I painted this. Looks like Rakarth flesh to me, or the predecessor of Rakarth's flesh, probably with some bleached bone in it. Painted up these kind of pinky purple scars on his back, and just put a bit of sand on the base and dry brush that white to make what hopefully looks like a lake that he's just pulled the fish out of. So yeah, I'm very pleased with him. It's a lovely model. Gollum's been really well sculpted, like across the range. It was quite good fun to do. But there you go, Billy. Hopefully that gives you a bit of a better look at my Gollum post. I've got another. I think I've got both the other two Lord of the Rings ones. The one where he's climbing down the rock, and the one where he's climbing over the rock. I've got them in the case somewhere. But it's obviously one of those things that I don't use them particularly well. And once you've got one model painted up, it's always tough to kind of motivate yourself to go back and paint another version when you've got so many models left to paint that don't have that you haven't painted a version of. But there you go. There is Gollum. If anyone wants to see any other close-ups of models from the cabinet, just give me a shout and I'll try and pop them into my hobby vlog next time. So there we go. That's what I've been painting. But I have as well been working on something else hobby related that I'm going to show you now. And here we are. So, as anyone who was watching my hobby vlogs before Christmas will no doubt recognise, this is another Foreground Mordenberg house. Is it Mordenberg it's called? Fabled Realms, something like that? Yeah, Mordenberg. And I built up 4 of these, I believe, before Christmas. And I've had another 4 kind of waiting to go that I've just paused because I have been doing some painting and stuff. But I've motivated myself to do another one. And the reason for that is I just got this little beauty. You might have seen on the Facebook group, the new Foreground City Watchtower. This kit is incredible. If you bear in mind that each one of these floors here is about the height of one of those floors of the house there. So you're looking at a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, sort of like a 7-story building here. There's a kind of 28mm model on it to give you some idea of the scale. So this thing is incredible, and it's obviously designed to look somewhat like the tower that Bard fires the wind lance from. So I got this as a kind of treat for myself. It's going to be a huge modelling project. I'm going to show you this this model in more detail in an upcoming video. But I'm really looking forward to getting stuck into that. But I decided that this would have to be a treat, and that I wouldn't get started on this until I'd finished assembling my other buildings. It also allowed me to get back into the habit of building these foreground buildings, so I could kind of remember all the best techniques on the smaller ones. So I've actually got these other 3, which are the Dockside dwellings. This was the kind of second range of Mordenberg ones. These ones are meant to look a bit more rickety. You can see they're more lake towny essentially. They've got wood down the bottom instead of plaster. So I've got that one. This one that's got a kind of staircase outside it, and this one. So I had those 3. I got these for Christmas actually. So I'm going to assemble those, and I had one more of the high street houses left to build, so I've built that. So here we go. Here's our latest house. I also built this little cart, which I picked up from Foreground. Really simple little piece, but it's really nice, really clever. Again, the whole advantage of the Foreground stuff is that they all come painted, but it's a nice little piece, just a bit of kind of dressing. But this is obviously the main feature of today. This is the High Street House number 1, this one. And as always, Foreground, the whole thing came painted and it all comes apart. So we can spin this around, and we get, we've got this little staircase here, which is up to the door. See that that will shuts like that, and you can just push it open, which is kind of cool. You've also got the main front door around here, and then you've got these multi-levels, and of course, as with all the foreground stuff, it all comes apart. So the top of the roof, sorry, comes off. You look down there, and there's actually a ladder which is obviously dropped down in there, and you see that inside you've got all this detailing. Then this part of the roof comes off. I'll show you what I mean. You can see in there, the detail in that, and the eaves. These bits of the roofs are quite fiddly to build up and make, but they're well worth it because they just make such incredible models, like that. And then in here, so you see that ladder that kind of pops into there. Yeah, so you can get up to that floor. Got a little trapdoor here down to the next level, which obviously has all the stuff in these kits. Does a bit fiddly to get from that angle. You can now see the door, your access from out here. Push that open, and in you come. All the detail inside's done, and this floor lifts up. I'll show you the trapdoor now. And then lifts up, which is kind of very, very cool. And then we have the ground floor level here with another trapdoor down to the cellar, which is very, very cool. So they're great kits again. I'll show you the detail on this one because this was pretty cool. The first one I've come across like this, where you have half plasterboard and half brickwork. And again, as I've talked about in the past, the way you assemble this is that dark brown strip that you can see there. You assemble that as the inner wall. You then glue on these wooden slats as one piece, and then you glue the plaster or the brickwork in the gaps, all individually. So what that does is it gives it a genuinely 3D kind of look, you know, as if the layers have been built up, which is cool. What was quite cool about this kit is the brickwork's optional. So we show you this sprue, you'll see that there's half of the plaster bits still on there. So if you didn't want the brickwork, you could just do it all with the plaster board, which is kind of a cool idea. But for me, I really liked the idea of having the bricks. I thought it made it look different. And bear in mind, I'm building this village up as a kind of dual purpose Lake Town and Brie kit, and I thought this looks really nice for Brie. And then you've obviously got the windows that are just glued in these gaps. Really, really nice stuff. Very, very impressed by the build quality. And it was good fun. This one took about, it's one of the more complicated houses. I think this all told took about 5 hours to assemble. But it's quite good fun because it's you can do it in front of the TV. When I'm painting, I have to kind of be upstairs at my desk, but this is kind of sitting in the lounge, building and like watching whatever's on TV. So that's quite cool. So we have that, and then this sits on top of that, and that works fine. And then this drops onto here. This is where I did come across one problem. That all seems fine, but you'll notice as I now spin this around. You see, let's have a look. We've got a gap here. Doesn't quite fit on. And a gap over here, so then you can basically make it, depending on quite how you make it fit, you can mitigate against this somewhat. So we get this kind of thing going on. But the problem for this is, sadly, at some point I've made this square at a bit of an angle, or this at a bit of an angle, so it doesn't quite fit flush onto it. So what I'm going to do is, it seems that the roof is too narrow, like this part is too wide. So what I'm going to do, I think, is just chip away a bit at some of these brown beams, just to make them slightly thinner. Just carve them away a bit, so that then that sits more flush on the top. It happened with one of my other buildings. It's not, I don't think it's the kit at all, I think it's just how you build it, which is a bit annoying, but you know, is that kind of everything, the detail on this is so fine and everything has to be glued in, it's all built so snugly to fit that as soon as you go slightly wrong with it, it can have some consequences, which is a bit of a shame. That doesn't look too bad. So you got a bit of a gap there. That one now looks alright, and there's no gap there, but hopefully I'll be able to just carve away at those a bit and make it sit more flush on the top. So yeah, again, this is exactly the sort of thing that I was trying to wanting to do, like kind of figure out these little mistakes and these little techniques again on these less important buildings before getting stuck into that monster of a watchtower, which I've started to, I'm not sure exactly, but I reckon is a good, I don't know, 15 hours work to build that tower up or something, just for the build, not even painting it or anything. But yeah, there is my latest foreground house, which is quite cool. So I don't know when I'll be doing the next ones. But I plan on doing some painting this week, and then when I'm downstairs and watching the telly and all that, I'll just be building my next Mordenberg house. So hopefully, I'd say, I don't know, within a couple of months, I should have all 3 of those built and maybe even the watchtower. So yeah, that's what I've been up to this week. Galadriel, Palace Guard, and building this house and this little cart. I will be back next week, and I think, and hopefully, I'll tell you what, it'll either be my long in progress hobby vlog that I've been talking about on and off, that's actually been going on for about 3 months. It'll either be that, or I won't have one, because I'm going to be trying to finish off that project this week. So fingers crossed, I've got a bit of time for painting this week, that I'll get that up. If not, I will see you in 2 weeks' time for sure. So yes, that's about all there is from me for this week. As ever, don't forget to comment, like, share and subscribe. Follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. Support your Hobbit hobby, and happy strategy battle gaming.